Hey, so I hope you're well. Welcome back if you've listened before. If you haven't, welcome for the first time. Um, Looking at leadership again, and today I've got some cool things I've found this week while I've been doing some research. First one I wanted to look at was I found something really cool, and I generally don't find that many things that I believe are correct or right, but I found this one from Making Business Matter is the name of the company who are makingbusinessmatter.co.uk. Anyway, they've got this post, this image, and it's the 5 levels of leadership, and it's one of the only ones I've seen and gone, yes, I agree, I agree. So you've got at the bottom of this pyramid, they've got the position, which is people follow you because they have to. You pay them, whatever. So second level is permission. So people follow you because they want to. Cool. Then you got production, which is people follow because of what you have done for the organisation. Yeah. People development, which is people follow because of what you have done for them previously. And then pinnacle, which is people follow because of who you are and what you represent, which is respect. Now, I love it. I love it because it is about why people follow you. And a lot of people don't get that bit right. This is spot on. I don't fully agree with the order, but I agree at the bottom that the first people that do follow you are the ones that they have to. Either you've enslaved them or you're paying them or whatever it may be. But I do then believe that the other four, when you look at the other four, they might not necessarily be in that order because people follow you because they want to. Basically that's it. Either they have to or they want to. Now there's different reasons why they might want to. One is because of what you've done for the organisation, one is because of what you've done for them, and then the other one is because of who you are and what you represent. So I believe the top three are underneath the banner of the one that is number two, which is people follow you because they want to. So either they have to or they want to. And there's lots of reasons they have to and lots of reasons they want to. But I did really like this because it is all about why people follow you and the fact that they are following you. So it is about followership. And yeah, I thought it was really good, to be honest. Like I said, I don't fully agree with it. I'd probably do 2 columns and put the 2 types of leadership, which is the column which is people who follow because they want to and people follow because they have to, and then there's lots of different subcategories which I'd then put under that, and those top three I'd put underneath the because they want to, and then they have to might be through force, through fear, through entrapment, it might be money, it might be slavery, whatever it is. So I would put follow through force, follow through choice. But yeah, I did really like it, to be honest. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. The other thing on the flip side, which I keep going over again and again and again, this one is by Indeed, which is the common job searching platform in the UK, or in England anyway. And this I very much disagree with, because if you look at there's 10 bits around this wheel, and you've got coach, visionary, servant, autocratic, laissez-faire or hands-off, democratic, pace setter, transformational, transactional, bureaucratic. Now for me, where it says common leadership styles, wrong. These are common management styles of very good managers. So you might say it's a leader, but no, not really. You could be a these for me are more managerial styles, because you could be this and people still not follow you. So they go under both. You can be a servant and a leader, but you can also be a servant and a manager. You can be a visionary and a leader. You can be a visionary and a manager. But then you can be a manager and a leader. So it's your management style of what keeps you in power. So if people are choosing to follow you and you are a performance-focused transactional leader, then if that is your management style, people are going to follow you because that is your style. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure I agree with this. I think this is more management. And again, a lot of people keep getting confused with management and leadership. They will say that someone is motivational, someone is organized, someone is a bit of a dictator. That's their management style. That is how they manage. That's not why you follow them. So anyway, I just wanted to go over those two things. It's something that, like I said, I've seen. I really like one. I wasn't too keen on the other. But what I really wanted to talk about today, the reason what I'm going to cover, what I really want to cover is narcissism. And I believe narcissism, I really want to speak to some more people about narcissism. I feel that narcissism is a massive, massive part of leadership, huge part of leadership. And I don't believe... I'll get into a bit more first. So let's look at types of narcissism. So if you look at narcissism, there are tons. There are some people say there's 5, some say 8, some say 6, whatever. I found this image that says there's however many there is there. Overt, covert, hypervigilant, grandiose, exhibitionist, sexual, vindictive, malignant, antagonistic, somatic, cerebral, spiritual, communal, healthy. There are tons. I'm not going to whiz through them all because we'd be here all day. But when you actually look at the types of narcissists there are, these people have traits that go across the board. And there are, if you've got, is it narcissistic personality disorder? If you have that, you don't necessarily have all of the boxes, but you need to tick 5 of the boxes across the 10 boxes available, something like that. I can't remember how many it is, but the NHS do a tick chart so you can see whether you do tick those boxes and you do kind of ping up as a narcissist. So here's where I see this. It's a very fine line between, I think, someone who is labelled a narcissist and what people assume a narcissist is, and if you went out and asked 100 people on the street, they would all say someone who's arrogant and evil and manipulative, and that, I think that's the common perception of what a narcissist is. But when you actually do a bit of research, that's not necessarily what a narcissist is only. That is one type of narcissism, but generally it is people who believe they are better than potentially the people around them. Now, it's not just that. That is one part of it. It's the belief in your superiority. Now, here's where that can get a bit confusing. Let's take, for example, someone who got accused of being arrogant many, many times, which was Cristiano Ronaldo. When he was playing football, people would say, oh, he's really arrogant. He thinks he's better than everyone. Well, at the time, he was. So, if someone goes around saying, I'm better than everyone, it is a little bit arrogant. But if someone asks you and says, do you think you're the best? And you say, yeah. If you have displayed that, then that is just a fact. That's just the confidence. That's knowing you are what you are. Now, here's the thing. If you, through life, have always been a whiz at, say, maths. So you're good in a maths class, and in maths you always get a top high grade. You then end up going to university and you study maths, and then someone says to you, we need someone who's good at maths, and you put your hand up. Does that make you arrogant? No. If someone says to you, do you believe that you are better than most people at maths? And they say, well, yeah, I am. Does that make them a narcissist? Well, no. Because you ticked a box. You do believe you are superior to people. But that belief, that part of it, is incredibly important when it comes to putting yourself in a position of leadership. Because if you do not believe you are good enough to be in that position, 9 times out of 10, more than that, you're not going to ever be a leader, because you're not putting yourself into that position to have opportunities to be a leader. So you have to have some essence of believing you are better than other people, or you can do a better job, to then put yourself forward, or even suggest it, or not turn it down. So even if people vote you in and you never even said you wanted it, if you kind of go, okay, I accept it, you're still showing some narcissism, because you're accepting the fact that you could do a better job, or you could do a good job. You're accepting that everyone believes in you. Whereas if you kind of go, oh, no, that's not me. No, thank you all for voting me in, but I can't do that. You're kind of then, you're not agreeing with what they're saying. So you do have to have a level of superiority, or belief in your superiority, in certain aspects. Now here's the other catch. You believe that you are superior at a certain thing, or you have a certain superior skill set. You do not believe you are superior and more important as a human being. That's a very big difference, where a lot of people who are narcissists will believe they are more important to the world, and that they are more, which leads me on to my next point, entitled to being a special treatment. So that entitlement is another massive part of someone who is a narcissist. So you've got someone who believes in their own superiority. You've got entitlement. Now, another massive one is ego-driven. So they have to feed their ego all the time to prove to either themselves or to prove to other people. They need to feed that ego. So it's not that they are content and, everyone says they're rubbish and they're like, no, I'm fine. I still believe I can do it. If they believe they can do it and they know that they can because they've done it before, and then yeah, that's justified. But someone who needs to constantly feed that ego needs, and this is another one, they need external validation all the time. So they need the external validation. They believe in their superiority, ego-driven, entitlement. You have lack of empathy, insecurity, so they hate criticism, and selfish/self-serving. Now here's the really bad thing. You've got some people who are aware that they are these things. So someone who is aware that they are selfish and believes they're superior to everyone, they lack empathy, and they're insecure, say, and they hate criticism. Someone who recognises those things and might say, I'm not happy that I'm those things, but I am who I am. Again, that is a sign of a very strong narcissistic personality. Now, because a lot of these people lack empathy, they generally lack emotional intelligence. And because they lack emotional intelligence, they're not very good at recognising how other people feel about them. And they live in this delusional world. So a lot of these narcissists will exhibit these different behaviours because that is how, and I'm not sure, and again, this is something I haven't done enough research on, but I don't know if this is more down to the environment they grew up in, or is it down to childhood experiences, or is this something that people slowly develop over time in adulthood? I don't know. Do you develop your narcissistic traits as a child? The point is, you lack certain aspects of being a decent human being. The fact that you are entitled, you believe you're superior, you're very selfish, and you need everyone to keep feeding your belief in your superiority and your complex about how you should be treated better than everyone else and the world owes you. The worrying thing about this is the amount of young, generally people below 21 at the moment that I meet, tick a hell of a lot of these boxes. Now, they might not believe they are superior to everyone, but they tick a lot of the other boxes. They're incredibly insecure. They constantly need external validation, which is probably social media has not helped in that. They're very, very selfish and self-serving, very entitled, ego-driven, so they constantly need that someone to tell them, that they're great, but then they're also their belief that they deserve to be everything given to them is why they then will not put any work in, but expect you to reward them and expect you to just give them money. They want to do no work, but is that belief in their importance that their parents have given them is, I think, incredibly toxic and incredibly dangerous just for humanity going forward. But a lot of them lack the belief, not all, but a lot of them lack that belief in their superiority. And it might be because they're teenagers, and when they grow up, they might develop that. But there is a massive issue with the teenagers of today that tick so many of the narcissistic boxes, and is very, very worrying. When you speak to teenagers today and you try and get them to think about other people, they can't even comprehend it. They don't understand it. And when you say to them, well, you need to do this bit of work to get this reward, they're like, what do you mean? I've never had to do that. And they can't comprehend it. It's not that they're like, oh, I don't want to. They can't comprehend that they need to do something to get the reward, because it's just always been given to them. So to them, it's mind-boggling. Now, a lot of these people who get into leadership positions, I've spoken about this before, one of the biggest aspects of being a leader or manager or anyone in that sort of position, it usually comes down to the number one trait that you need more than anything else is belief. You need to believe that you can do the job or that you belong there. Otherwise, you just immediately step down. Now, that belief can be dangerous. And the problem is most people who believe in themselves tick a lot of those narcissistic boxes because they do believe they're better than everyone else. Now, the people that don't believe they're better than everyone else usually are not the people who put themselves forward for leadership roles. So if you've got 100 people and 10 of them are narcissists and 90 aren't, you might get 9 of those narcissists put themselves forward for the leadership role, and 1 of the 90 who's not a narcissist puts themselves forward. So now you've got 10 applicants and 90% of them are narcissists. So it's a very, very high chance that you're going to end up with a ego-driven, insecure, entitled, selfish, and eventually bully who ends up in charge. So that is one of the biggest dangers of hiring people through who wants to do it. I think putting those people into that position and saying, well, who wants to be in charge? Now you are asking for trouble. Now you are asking for people who are going to get into that position and get pissed off if people do not worship them. I am now your superior officially. I am now worth more than you. I am now if there was, if aliens came down to the planet and said that people had to be executed, you are now in that line before me, because I am superior. I am a more important human being. That is how their mind works. And that is very, very dangerous for, like I said, these leadership management positions. Now, someone who is a very, very, very good manager and who believes they're a very good manager might not necessarily be a narcissist, but it's because they know they have the skill set to be a good manager, usually through experience. Now, for that person to get that experience, at one time, they had to have believed in themselves. Or the other option is, as I said previously, those types of leaders who are very protective. So they're just naturally protective of other people. If you are a protective person, naturally, you might take on that leadership role to prevent anyone else having to go through something they don't want to do. And then you end up becoming a good leader through experience. Now, a lot of these narcissists have the experience, but they never become good leaders or positive leaders that people want to follow, because they don't necessarily have the ability to learn to not be an arsehole, essentially. So, picking apart why narcissists are the way they are is incredibly interesting to me, because I want to find out what makes people believe in themselves, or what gives them that belief that they are superior to other people. And not superior in their skill set, but superior in that they are worth more as a person. That's the toxic bit, and that's the bit I would love to figure out. Why are they like that? Or someone just tell me. I'd love to hear why are people like that, because that lack of awareness of their toxicity is dangerous to a business. And if a manager who is promoting from within, for example, and promotes someone who says, I believe I'm the best person for the job, and they interview very well, and they come across as very articulate and charming, and they get themselves the job, and now they're just like this evil dictator who just upsets everyone, but you can't understand why, because to you they're so charming and so eloquent, so well spoken, and you don't understand. You don't see it from above them. You don't see the way they are to the people below them. So narcissists are dangerous in leadership roles, but I would think that a very, very high percentage of people in high level management and leadership positions are narcissists. I really would believe that. If you look at without pissing anyone off, look at the United States as a culture. That country believes it is superior to every country on the planet. And the kids there are brought up to believe that essentially every other country on the planet is third world, and the United States is number one. And that there are a lot of those cultural issues which maybe gives you more potential candidates for leadership roles. So imagine if you had a room full of people from the United States, you're probably going to have a lot of people there that would want to take leadership roles because they believe themselves to be superior to most other people. If you then took England, and now England is incredibly insecure as a culture, as a people, incredibly insecure. I cannot tell you how insecure most people are. And they're incredibly selfish and self-serving, but not in a nasty way. They don't understand how selfish a lot of these people are. So when you've got, again, I'm probably pissing everyone off here, so sorry, but when you've got a nation of people that are very selfish, and a lot of the younger people now coming through are very entitled and also need external validation, you get a very, very toxic mix. Now, if you also took British people and said, are you superior to the rest of Europe? A lot of British people would say, yes, we are. And they believe that. They genuinely believe that British people are superior. And you see that a lot when British people go on holiday to somewhere like Spain, and they are annoyed if the Spanish person in Spain doesn't speak English to them and doesn't have English food and English drink for them to, it's such an arrogant mindset. And I'm not saying everyone's like it, but it's a very arrogant mindset to go to another country and expect people to speak your language and eat your food and supply you with your food and your drink. So those traits, like I said, are very, very dangerous. And there are a lot of leaders out there who need to, when they are promoting someone below them, or they are recruiting for an assistant or a number one, or whatever they're doing, the issue is beware of the people that volunteer for the role, I would say. Not in every case. I want to do a lot more research on this. I want to try and find out if there is a way you can. I mean, how do you find someone who is good at leadership or in a leadership role, management role, who believes they're good at it without having done it before and without being a narcissist? How do you find those people? It could be that you say, right, these are the skill sets that we need. Do you believe you've got those skill sets? And they say, yeah. Okay, so do you believe you could manage these people and do that leadership role? Yeah. That's probably the only way that you're going to find someone who's going to be a good manager, who isn't going to be, again, and just an egotistical asshole. And the majority of managers that I've met in the UK, I'm going to say over 90%, are so insecure and constantly need external validation, so needy for attention and constant reminding that they are good enough for their job, and constant reassurance, that's the word. Those managers are everywhere, and I would say, like I said, probably higher than 90%, maybe higher than 95% of all the managers I've had tick those boxes. They are there because they need you to feed their ego and make them feel good. And that to me is worrying, very worrying. How deep does that go? Does that go into politics? Does that go into every member of parliament? Why is that member of parliament there? Is it because they genuinely want to do good? Or is it because they want the admiration and they want people to applaud them, pat them on the back, tell them that they are important? And are they there because they believe they're better than everyone else around them? And then they just pander to those people and say, yeah, I'm here for you. But do they secretly think, peasants? So it's super interesting to... I would love to find out how many of these people genuinely believe that they are superior to everyone. I mean, they're not going to say it if they've got any sense and they are any sort of kind of manipulative narcissist. They're going to be quite charming. They're not going to just say, yeah, I believe I'm better than everyone. They might think it, and that belief is why they put themselves forward for those positions. But yeah, just something I wanted to cover briefly was just that whole narcissistic environment that you find a lot within leadership. And again, I don't think many people would recognize it. They don't recognize that someone is a narcissist quickly. And there are certain types of narcissism that float under the radar. You're kind of your covert narcissists, the ones that are, you know, very gaslighty and guilt trippy and controlling, and they get in your head. Those ones are very, very, very dangerous. So yeah, I've been searching for some expert in narcissism, because I think it's an incredibly important part of leadership, and I want to find a few people really and just start picking the bones out of narcissism and see how important and how relevant it is towards leadership. So yeah, if anyone knows anyone that is a narcissist expert, or even someone that is narcissist and would love to hear themselves talk about themselves, yeah, I'd love to interview those people and just get to the bottom of it. So yeah, if anyone's got anyone they could send my way, then please do. And yeah, spread the word. I'm like I said, I'm going to be trying to get some more interviews soon, and I'm hoping that I'm being very picky about who I want to interview. I don't just want to interview anyone. There's some fascinating people that I want to get into their heads a little bit. There's someone I met a few years ago, and I'm going to be speaking to him very soon, and he's always stuck in my mind. He was very young, and he was the manager of a football team. And I found it fascinating that someone who was probably the youngest person there was in charge of everyone, and I was fascinated as to what made him believe that he could do that job, and what made him so confident at 19 years old. Because 19, very rare to have that much confidence at 19. There's a lot of entitlement, but not that much confidence. So, unless you're from Essex. But yeah, I'm going to be having a big conversation with him soon, and there's a couple of others. Going to get Keith Grint back on, Professor Keith Grint, a couple of other people I'm really excited about as well. So yeah, hopefully I'll be sharing those soon, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. It's short and sweet today. I just wanted to get a couple of those little bits out there. Just like I said, narcissism, I really want to start digging into it now. So we've opened the door a little bit. I want to go through it and go down that rabbit hole. So yeah, I will speak to you again soon. I'll see you next week, and cool. Speak to you soon.